In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at some of my old builds, reviewing them, reliving them, and just having fun in the process. So let's take a look. So I tried to start from oldest to newest. So this first one is one of my first mocks I've ever taken a picture of. And it's super old, but as you can see, it's kind of like a Star Wars kind of speeder thing. You got some Hoth troopers in there. You got a little gun holder, which is pretty cool. You've got a little antenna on top, I guess, for communication. I don't know what I was really thinking in this. You got some cool detail up in the front, but overall it's pretty blocky and it is multicolored, which is probably due to the fact that I didn't have many bricks at that point in my Lego journey. So it's a pretty good speeder. It can hold 2 guys, which is pretty impressive. So yeah, let's get a better look at it. I'm going to change to the back side of it, which I have a picture of. And this is probably my favorite part of this mock that I made. It has a little spot that can fold down and store a little, I guess it's like a little rover kind of robot thing, which is really cool. And I think that's a pretty cool little play feature I added in there. And I could just see myself, you know, letting that little hatch down, letting the little rover out and playing with that, and then putting them back in and then flying the speeder around. I can see myself doing that. So I thought that was pretty fun, and let's get on to the next build. So our next build is kind of an interesting one. It looks like this little helicopter thing. I don't even really know what it is. It's got a bunch of different colors. Looks like it's got a sticker piece from a Lego City set on it. Honestly, don't really know what this is. It's not a good angle of it, and I don't have any other pictures. So I'm guessing it's a helicopter, but it's a very janky helicopter. But all in all, it's got some good features. I can tell that it can like the propellers can rotate and all that. So I think that's pretty cool. We'll move on to the next build. This one's kind of boring. Okay, so this is our next build, and I think it's a pretty cool little spaceship. It can hold 2 guys in it, which I think is pretty cool. It looks very flimsy, however, and I did make use of 3 like car chassis parts, which is pretty cool. But you can tell it's very flimsy and it looks like it's about to fall apart in my hands. But it's pretty cool. Also ignore the Shrek shirt in the back. I don't know what I was wearing then, but apparently I like Shrek. But all in all, I think it's pretty cool. It's got some cool greebling on it, some cool details. It's got some cool little blasters with the wheel axle parts, which I think is pretty cool. And for my age, I think that's pretty good. It's pretty symmetrical, which is pretty cool. And that's a main characteristic of a lot of my builds that I've done in my life. Most of them are all pretty symmetrical. So that's pretty impressive to see this from a very young version of me, that I'm still symmetrical and making pretty cool builds. Let's move on to the next one. So this one is actually very funny. I have very fond memories of playing with my sister and my younger brother. We used to have these little like squishy like pets. I don't even know what they were, but we would make little houses for them, and so this is what we did. And they're like little dog palaces, I guess is what you could call it. So I think they're pretty cool. They're very multicolored again, but some of them have little flowers, and I think it's a pretty cool little spot for a little pet, which I think is pretty fun. And you can see the little special Han Solo figure from the DVD, from the Blu-ray that I had of that short. If you've ever seen that, please comment below. I forget what it's even called, but it's a great little short movie. And that guy has no arms, so that's kind of scary. Okay, so here we have a pretty interesting one. It looks like a safe, a Lego safe that I made. And I can tell that it is because I have another picture for it, which I'll show in a second. But personally, that's pretty cool for how little I was. It's a safe, and it looks like it can operate, and I'm pretty sure it can. We'll take a look at the next picture. But it's very multicolored again. You know, I'm a little kid. That's what is cool. So let's take a look at the next picture. So actually, it looks like it does operate, but it has a very simple mechanism. But that's still pretty cool. That's pretty cool that I came up with that. So it looks like you just turn that little wheel, and it moves that little arm piece out of the way, and then you can open up the door, which is pretty cool. And it protects your money. for the most part, even though you could probably just go boom and smash it. But hey, it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty ingenious for how little I was. So I'll rate it a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. In this picture, it looks like we have some boats. One of my favorite things to do when I was little was make boats and play with my Lego figures in the sink, which this picture is very unfortunate because you can see a very rare minifigure in there, which is a Wolverine minifigure from that one Deadpool helicopter set, which I had when I was young. And he is just floating in the water, which is really sad. But I had a lot of fun doing it, so I don't regret it. So we got some boats along the side of the sink, which is pretty cool. And it looks like I took some of those like purple, like round tube pieces and made little canoes with them, which was pretty fun at the time. I enjoyed that a lot. And so yeah, that was that build. In this picture, this is all that I have of this, but I can definitely tell that this is a soda dispenser, like a vending machine. And it's very, very cool. I used to make these all the time. I used to be obsessed with making safes and vending machines. So this is really cool to see. I bet it can operate. I bet you put that little tile in there and it shoots out a little soda can. So I think that's a pretty cool build. I've actually done one similar to this on the channel, which is pretty cool. You should check that out. But this is pretty cool to see me do this at a young age. This is a TJ Build's favorite Lego Transformer. So this is one of my first Transformers I've ever built. And I don't know if you can tell this, but this is Soundwave and Blaster, which is pretty cool. And it is very, very simple. I can already tell. I remember making these all the time just because of how simple they were. And I actually have another picture of them transformed, which is pretty cool. But the details of these are very, very bad. Like for the little cassette tape holder, it's literally just a 2x2 tile or 2x2 plate, which is pretty cool. And you can literally see their head like poking out of the top, which is pretty cool. Blaster actually has some like speaker details, which is kind of cool, but very, very simple design and very much so a younger version of me. Here is the picture of them transformed, and they're pretty goofy looking, pretty funny, but I was very young when I made these, so I'm not complaining at all. They don't have a lot of articulation at all, especially not in the legs, but I think they look very cool, and I'm very proud of this. Considering my age at the time. So here's one of my coolest older builds that I've done, and it's a basketball court, which I think is really, really cool. I think it's very interesting how I was able to get the arch, like the 3-point line arch, which is really interesting. I used like a kind of like a snot technique to achieve that, using bricks and laying them down and then putting them like inside of it, which is very cool. I used a lot of cheese slopes and 1x1 tiles to do that, which I think is really cool. I love the stands and everything. I'm a huge Kentucky fan, so I tried, it's kind of like Rep Arena. If you're a Kentucky fan, then you know. But I think it's a really cool basketball arena, and I would love to revisit this build one day, which also reminds me, if y'all think I should revisit any of these builds, please let me know in the comment section below, because I would love to rebuild some of these and share it with y'all. So here's one of my more recent builds, but this is before I started the YouTube channel, and I think it's a really cool build. It's okay. It's an Optimus Prime, obviously, but I think it looks really good in robot mode, and his vehicle mode looks okay, but he's just a little bit janky, and he wasn't very stable, and you can see his head and transformation, which is kind of weird. But all in all, I think it's really cool. I love the blaster rifle I made for him out of Technic, which I think looks really, really, really accurate here in a sec, or his vehicle mode. And as you can see, it's kind of rough. There's a few like rough edges. His wheels look very tiny, and you can see his head poking out of the top and his feet sticking out of the back of the truck. It just looks kind of weird and wonky. But all in all, I like this build, and it was one of my first Lego Transformers that I had built in a long time. And it's also a very big build, so it's kind of hard to really make it sturdy, really make it really, really good. So I'm okay with this build. It's okay. Here is an old spaceship I made, and it's all white, which I think is pretty interesting. I think it has some really nice details. I was I'm pretty sure I was in middle school when I made this. So I was getting better at building Legos, and I've always been getting better and learning new different techniques and ideas and having more practice under me. So I like this build a lot, and I think it's very detailed, and I think it looks really, really good. I'd probably like to rebuild this as well one day and make it just a little bit better, but I think it's a really cool spaceship, and I'm really proud of this build. And the last one of this video, this is also one that I built not too long ago, a few years ago. This is one that I built a few years ago, and it's like this Lego Ninjago like diorama thing. It's got Sensei Wu. It's got like a little shrine with a shuriken, whatever it's called, I don't even know. You got like this bendy tree and water. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps my channel out. And stay tuned for more awesome Lego builds and mock reviews. So I'll see you in the next one.